Someone's got to ask a question. Yeah, no, I was glad we got it done. The timing of the exchange date is always a touch awkward with convention. It's happened a lot of times, but it's a process that's hard to explain, I think, to fans. You have to exchange numbers, but I think both sides were motivated to get a deal done. Obviously, I'm excited he's here, under contract, and I'm glad we put that behind us.
What's the priority as far as filling out the rest of this roster?
I think I've said we're definitely focused on the bullpen. Focus on our bench. Try to supplement the roster as much as we can the rest of the way. There's a lot of good players still out there, and we'll probably be working on that, until we report, and maybe even after that.
Is closing experience a priority?
I think quality relievers. I think sometimes those guys have closed, sometimes they haven't, but it never hurts. But I don't think it's a prerequisite.
When you hear the market at 15 to 17 million for 4 or 5 years, is this a waiting game for front offices to see how the whole thing shakes out?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Closing.
Oh, I mean, just in general, we're involved in a lot of different relievers. I think we've tons of lines in the water, I guess I would say, and like I said, it's a little bit of a staring contest at times with all these guys. But like I said, there's a lot of talent out there, and we'll just look to upgrade the roster however we can.
Was there any way for you to keep Bellinger, or was it more of an economic thing?
I think it was some of both. Honestly, I think that once we acquired Tucker, I think Cody's a great player. I think with PCA in center, with Michael at first, with Seiya, having to be able to DH and move around, it just felt like we could kind of redeploy those resources in a more efficient way to help the team in other ways. So that was really the gist of it. Once we acquired Tucker, it felt like that was the right move. But I think the world of Cody as a player, very versatile, wants to play every day. Thrilled we had him for 2 years.
When you look at what you guys have done to address starting pitching options and the depth there, do you feel set in the sense of not adding anyone that you would come in and immediately plug into the rotation?
I think you'll always look. You're always opportunistic. I never feel as though we have enough pitching, and so we'll continue to look for quality arms however they come. But I think that may be an area that we may not continue to add to this winter. But if there's an opportunity, we wouldn't avoid it, because, like I said, you just can never have enough arms in today's baseball.
You mentioned at the winter meetings that trading for a guy like Tucker, maybe you wouldn't, or you said it afterwards, you wouldn't have done a few years ago. So you stretched what Would you say the same in the back end of the bullpen? You might stretch yourself a little bit more, considering the marginal value of a win and all that stuff.
Well, I think the way, when you think about Tucker, it felt like it was just the right time for our roster. I don't think that our roster, our team, would have been ready for that kind of investment in talent. So I think everything is just dependent on where you are, sort of in your life cycle as a team.
Well, that's what I meant about closer-wise.
Just in the bullpen, I think this is something we're going to prioritize the rest of the way. Yeah.
How about depth for your bench?
Yeah.
Obviously, that was, with all due respect to the players, a little bit of a weakness for you guys last year.
Yeah, I think we'll continue to look at it. I mean, both on and off our 40, I think we have a ton of young talent that's almost ready. I don't think you want to have those guys on the bench. I think that letting those guys play in AAA and having other players take those roles. So I feel like with injuries, I'm excited. When we have injuries, we'll plug in a top 100 prospect at most positions, which I feel great about. But as far as building a bench, I think you have to look at guys that have done that in the past or more veteran guys. And that's a balance, because you don't want to gum up the 40-man roster and not have opportunity for young guys, but at the same time, you also don't want them sitting on our bench. So it's a fine balance that we have to strike.
Is your opening day third baseman in the organization?
I think likely. I think we certainly will look to supplement. I mean, Bruce asked the question about bench players, and certainly, infield is an area we've been focused on. But I think the likelihood is, yeah.
How would you just describe Matt Shaw's development on the defensive side at third base from this point last year to where he's at?
Yeah, he's continuing to work really hard. I think one thing about him is that he's an unbelievable worker. Kind of reminds me of Nico a little bit in that context, and he's kind of taken every challenge we've given him, and he's continued to improve defensively. And I do think that defense is something that with hard work, you can definitely, and repetition, you can get better at, and he's done a good job of that.
How tough was it for you to be in the Final Four for Sasaki, but not at the finish line?
Disappointing, and we put a lot of time and effort into it, not just in trips over there, but thousands of man hours and presentations. And I couldn't be more proud of the way we presented. I think we do a really good job of that, and that part went really well. But ultimately, you enter into that process. He can only choose one place to go. I'm honored that we were, made it into the 8 teams that he met with. Disappointed we didn't, kind of get a rose to get to the final 3, but that's the nature of these things. We did the same thing with Ohtani, and it's a lot of work, but I also look at it like it's certainly not wasted. I think it's good to have to sell your organization. This place sells itself really well, so that part of the process is good, and you just got to keep doing it over and over. And we've had a lot of success with Japanese players, and one of these international amateurs that come over, we're going to get right. So.
Speaking of Japan, you start the season in Japan.
Yep.
What type of adjustments do you have to make in spring training because of the time difference, different attitudes?
Well, I mean, we get to spring training, we can talk about the different rules, differences in rosters and things like that. That part of it, the transactional part of it, will be a challenge. But as far as the starting date, I mean, Craig and Carter and I have been telling people, the players, really since the exit meetings, that it's going to be faster. Like everything's a week earlier, and you have to, think about that. You need to throw a couple more bullpens before you get to spring training. You have to be a little bit more prepared to play early on. So it is an adjustment. We're going to have games, much earlier than other teams, and we have to be ready to go. And certainly didn't hurt the Dodgers or Padres last year. I did this trip in 2008 with the Red Sox, and it's different in terms of your preparation, but it's an awesome life experience for the players, and I'm excited for the organization that we're doing it.
Ed, what memories stand out to you about Sammy Sosa's career?
Been here for 14 years. I met him for the first time last night at dinner. It was fun to meet him and talk to him. Incredible player, obviously. I think you look at 360 homer seasons. I feel like re-energizing baseball in '98 is pretty obvious. My personal memory was I just remember going to a game in it was August in August of '98 against the Astros, and being in the bleachers, and I just remember watching him run out on the field, and it's a unique experience. I haven't seen anything like that before or since, in terms of excitement about one player coming out on the field, and he captivated this market for a long time. This is there hasn't been a star like him, since then with the Cubs, and really maybe even in Chicago since then. So pretty special, and I'm glad he's back.
Obviously, with the caveat that a lot can change between now and when you guys report to camp, and it takes 2 to tango. But do you anticipate reinvesting the money that you saved in the Bellinger trade back into this roster, being able to do that before spring training or before the season starts, I guess?
Yeah, I would expect, yeah.
With Nico, just how is his rehabiltation to progress, and where is he at in that process?
He's good. You guys can ask him. No, he's doing well. As you would expect, he's in awesome shape. He's been working unbelievably hard. I don't know what he wants to say about timing, but I think that, and obviously with these things, anything can change. But so far, all the information we've gotten has been excellent. So.
What do you expect from Horton and Brown coming into the spring?
I said this. I said this last night. I was like, I think that one of the things that hurt us last year was we have really good young pitching, and a lot of those guys got hurt last year, weren't able to give us the innings that we had hoped for, and that hurt our depth a lot. And for me, it's health. Those guys are both super talented. They're going to get major league hitters out, and really, it's about having those guys healthy. I'd put Wicks in that category as well. So I feel a heck of a lot better about our pitching depth and our pitching in general if those guys are healthy and pitching as they can.
With that starting pitching depth, how do you view a guy like Nate Pearson? Is he going to come into camp stretching out, or?
Stretching out to an extent, but my expectation is he'll be in the bullpen.
You and Tom ever talk about your future? Are you just willing to go through the season and let it ride, or?
My future, like with the Cubs, or like life, like
Either way.
I would just keep that between us. Like I said, I'm aware that that's a topic. I've been asked about it 10 times today. I get it. It's it's a topic, but it's not something I'm concerned about. I'm excited about this season, and let's just enjoy the season. And if we do have conversations, hopefully like with players, we'll keep that stuff out of the media. But I've had an awesome run here. This place is great, and then I'll just leave it at that.
You said you've been asked like 10 times today. Who asked you about it? Like when you
guys?
Other than us, though, do you get it from players or people who work for anything like that?
No, not at all. It's just I understand, like, whenever a coach or a president is going into last year, it becomes a significant topic, and all I can say is it's not going to change any decisions we make. I think that's what people always ask. You're in the last year, or what, you guys going to do things differently? It's like, of course not. That's not my job. I was just saying, like, this is about the fans, it's about Chicago, it's about the Cubs. Like, these things are so much bigger than me. I'm not going to make decisions that impact a city or a fan base based on my self-interest. So to me, it's about running the organization as best I can, and I think we're in a window that we have a chance to be really good for a while. And I think the organization's in great position. I'm proud of that. So I'm not going to make decisions for me. That's not my job.